So this post was actually inspired by someone who left a comment on one of my previous shorts, and she's talking about inflation. She said that this is why we have to tackle inflation, and instead of just raising wages. But here's the thing: inflation is not going to come down, and it's not going to come down for one particular reason. Inflation is going to always remain high because of these. These cards is what keeps inflation high. Credit cards, debit cards, etc. is why inflation increases. Here's how it works. All right. When you swipe your card at X grocer, X merchant, first and foremost, the very first thing that happens before that merchant gets paid is that Visa, Mastercard, Discover, whomever the extending entity is on that card, the name on that card, they get a chunk, right? They get a percentage of each transaction. Not a big percentage, but it's a percentage nonetheless. They get a percentage. The bank that issues that credit card or debit card, they get a percentage. And then from there, then the merchant gets a percentage, right? So, or whatever the remainder is. So if you say you spend $100 at Walmart, right, and the bank and Visa or Mastercard, whomever it is, they get say $4 of that transaction. Well, now Walmart is only making $96 versus making 100, right? And that's for every transaction. So what are they going to do? They're going to raise their price to offset that cost, right? Offset that loss. That's actually one of the reasons why Walmart doesn't use Apple Pay, because every time for Apple Pay, same premise. Since Apple Pay is they're the transaction system, Walmart would have to pay a percentage to Apple for using that service. You know what I'm saying? If you really want inflation to come down, stop using credit cards, stop using debit cards, go back to using cash. And here's actually a great example. I ain't got the receipt. I just left. I just left a restaurant. I'm in Houston right now. Just left a restaurant, and on the receipt, I took a picture of it, so I'll post it. On the receipt, it says the bill was it was $41 or something like that, $40. But if you paid in cash, it was 38 and some change. It was $41 if you paid by card. It was $38 if you paid by cash. So there's your inflation right there, right? They're covering the expense. You go to a gas station, right, and they have the surcharge for using the credit card, and you have to have a minimum spend amount in order to use a debit or credit card, right? I mean, it all trickles down no matter where you go, and because it's so convenient to use the cards, right? They push it in front of you. You see more advertisements on credit cards, almost. I would say you would see almost the equivalent amount of advertisements on credit cards as you do for pharmaceutical drugs. Make that make sense, right? So the percentage for the card depends on what type of card you have. If it's a debit card, it's like 0.15% or 0.015% to like zero point 0.8 plus a 10% or 10-cent thing. For if you have a travel card or a card with that you could travel with, the percentage on those cards are even higher, right? As far as the yield is concerned. So eh, it's going to take more than just. Actually, it's not going to take more. The simplest thing to help with reducing inflation is simply to stop using credit cards. Just use cash. Go back to using cash, right? Plain and simple. Granted, yeah, it's a little bit more bulky, right? Um, you can't secure it. It's not secure as your card is. But I guarantee you, if 50,000 transactions are made in cash and not off of cards, I bet money that Visa and Mastercard and Discover and American Express and the issuers of those cards um, will have something to say about it. I guarantee it. They make it hand over fist daily. Like imagine you talking about that one. I mentioned that one transaction, $4, right? For one transaction. Imagine that. Multiply that by 100,000 per day. Per day. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure there's way more than 100,000 transactions being made in a day, just nationally. Not even thinking about worldwide, right? Not even thinking about globally, nationally. 100,000 transactions, and each transaction, before the merchant gets a dime, they didn't fork over $4, $3 to $4 to the card companies. That's how you attack inflation. That's how you start attacking inflation. Then it goes deeper than that, but that's the beginning. That's all I got for y'all, man. Hope you have a good one. Love y'all. Remember, this shit ain't a war.